you very much. Dear Professor Mohamed Hussein Marsawi, President of Al-Azhar University, dear panelists, Your Excellencies, distinguished participants in the Third International Environment Conference in Cairo. First of all, I would like to convey the greetings of His Holiness Pope Francis to all of you. This meeting brings together many cultures and spiritualities in a spirit of fraternity and dialogue. May this strengthen our awareness that we are members of the one human family. Each of us has its religious beliefs and spiritual traditions, but no cultural, political, or social borders or barriers prevent us from standing together. When we speak of the environment, what we really mean is a relationship existing between nature and the society which lives in it. Nature cannot be regarded as something separate from ourselves or as a mere setting in which we live. We are part of nature, included in it, and thus in constant interaction with it. Recognizing the reasons why a given area is polluted requires a study of the workings of society, its economy, its behavior patterns, and the ways it grasps reality. Given the scale of change, it is no longer possible to find a specific, discrete answer for each part of the problem. It is essential to seek comprehensive solutions which consider their interactions with the natural systems themselves and with social systems. We are faced not with two separate crises, one environmental and the other social, but rather with one complex crisis, which is both social and environmental. Strategies for solutions demand an integrated approach to combating poverty, restoring dignity to the excluded, and at the same time, protecting nature. If everything is related, then the health of society's institutions has consequences for the environment and the quality of human life. Every violation of solidarity and civic friendship harms the environment, just as environmental deterioration in turn upsets the relationships in society. In this sense, social ecology is necessarily institutional and gradually extends to the entire social fabric, from the primary social group, the family, to the wider local, national, and international communities. All this shows the urgent need to counter the throwaway culture so prevalent in our society and based on the seeds of conflicts, greed, indifference, ignorance, fear, injustice, insecurity, and violence. Those seeds of conflict cause the serious wounds we are inflicting on the environment, such as climate change, desertification, pollution, and loss of biodiversity. These in turn are leading to the breaking of that covenant between human beings and the environment, which should mirror the creative love of God, from whom we come and towards whom we are journeying. In this sense, too, environmental rotation and degradation not only exhaust the resources which provide local communities with their livelihood, but also undo the social structures which for a long time shaped culture and the identity and the sense of the meaning of life and community. The disappearance of a culture can be just as serious or even more serious than the disappearance of a species or plant or animal. The imposition of a dominant lifestyle linked to a single form of production can be just as harmful as the altering of ecosystems. Human beings must avoid to see no other meaning in the natural environment than what serves for immediate use and consumption. Already in 1991, Pope John Paul II noted that little effort has been made to safeguard the moral conditions for an authentic human ecology. Subsequently, he would call for a global ecological conversion. The destruction of the human environment is extremely serious, not only because God has entrusted the word to all of us, but because human life is itself a gift which must be defended from various forms of degradation. Every effort To protect and improve our world entails profound changes in lifestyles, models of production and consumption, and the established structure of power which today governs societies. Authentic human developments thus has a moral character. It presumes full respect for the human person, but it must also be concerned for the world around us and take into account the nature of each being and of its mutual connection in an ordered system. Accordingly, our human ability to transform reality must proceed in line with God's original gift of all creation. The Holy See is aware that in the areas of politics and philosophy, there are those who reject the idea of a creator or consider it irrelevant and consequently dismiss the rich contribution which religions can make towards an integral ecology and the full development of humanity. Others view religions simply as a subculture to be tolerated. Nonetheless, science and religion, with their distinctive approaches to understanding reality, can enter into an intense dialogue fruitful for both. If we are truly concerned to develop an ecology capable of remedying the damage we have done, no branch of sciences and no form of wisdom can be excluded, including religion and religious language. Faith and science are essential pillars of human civilization with shared principles and complementarities. We must address these challenges using the knowledge of science and the wisdom of religion to know more and to care more. The majority of people living on our planet profess to be believers. This should spur religions to dialogue among themselves for the sake of protecting nature, defending the poor, and building networks of respect and fraternity. Dialogue, understanding, and the whispered promotion of a culture of tolerance, acceptance of others, and of living together peacefully would contribute significantly to reducing many economic, social, political, and environmental problems that weigh so heavily on a large part of humanity. Dear friends, wars, conflicts, environmental decay, and the moral and cultural decline that the world is presently experiencing can be overcome if we, who believe in God and in the final meeting with Him and His judgment, on the basis of our religious and moral responsibility, call upon ourselves, upon the leaders of the world, as well as the architects of international policy and world economy, to work strenuously to spread the culture of care and of living together in peace. To care for the world in which we live means caring for ourselves. Yet we need to think of ourselves more and more as a single family dwelling in a common home. Such care does not interest those economic powers that demand quick profits. Often, the voices raised in defense of the environment are silenced and ridiculed, using apparently reasonable arguments that are merely a screen for special interests. In this shallow, short-sighted culture that we have created, bereft of a shared vision, it is foreseeable that once certain resources have been depleted, the scene will be set for new wars, albeit under the guise of noble claims. The gravity of the ecological crisis demands that we all look to the common good, embarking in a path of dialogue which demands patience, self-discipline, and generosity. Here, there can be no room for disguising false intentions or placing partisan interests of one country or group above the global common good. If rules are considered simply as means to be used whenever it proves advantageous and to be ignored when it is not, uncontrollable forces are unleashed that cause grave harm to societies, to the poor and vulnerable, to fraternal relations, to the environment, and to cultural treasures, with irretrievable losses for the global human community. As Pope Francis recently stated. Recognizing that the world is interconnected means not only realizing the harmful effects of our actions, but also identifying behaviors and solutions to be adopted in an attitude of openness to interdependence and sharing. We cannot act alone, for each of us is fundamentally responsible to care for others and for the environment. This commitment should lead to an urgently needed change of direction, nurtured also by our respective religious beliefs and spirituality. Our commitment must constantly be driven by the dynamism of love, for in the depths of every heart, love creates bonds and expands existence, for it draws people out of themselves and towards others. Indeed, love is the mirror of an intense spiritual life, love that extends to all, transcending cultural, political and social boundaries, a love that is inclusive, concerned especially for the poor, who so often teach us how to overcome the barriers of selfishness and to break down the walls of our ego. To illumine and direct this openness, let us commit ourselves to a future shaped by interdependence and co-responsibility. This is one of the most important contributions that our religious and spiritual traditions can make to help bring about this much needed change of course. Thank you for your attention. May God bless us all.